with the chart, guys. We have the first baby signs of relative strength in crypto comparative to the broader stock market. The first we've seen in a while, but my motto has been, one day is not enough. But we're going to point out the signs that showed us this was happening this morning and what we need to see happen through the rest of the week if it's going to stick. We'll check in on some names like ZEC, of course, crypto stocks, MSTR, BMNR, and a little bit of hopium for the bulls will drop in there. Not a lot. They got a ton of proving to do, but I'll give you a little something. Learn how to trade stocks, crypto, and hype sectors with a global chat room led by professional traders, as well as daily live streams at chartguys.com. So just a heads up, we've got at the Chart Guys, our Black Friday sale starts this Thursday, and discounts on courses, indicators, membership. Semi-annual members will get a free mini course on risk management and stop losses that I just made. So check that out. That'll be posted far and wide over the next week. Coming up. Okay, so just picking up from last stream. Last stream was last Thursday. Drew a possible latest scenario where this is not the most likely scenario for me. I don't have high conviction in this pattern, but if X, Y, and Z happen, this is a possible daily falling wedge. And then Friday very quickly told us, no, that's not happening. And because the things that were laid out, X, Y, and Z, didn't happen. We needed the NASDAQ to hold support. It held support enough. We needed Bitcoin to bear break with zero follow through and pop right back up to 97, 98. That didn't happen. And so we're not watching that anymore. You could keep an eye on these resistance lines if you want, but it was just a visual guide for me. And now I'm just sticking with a daily downtrend. We've got a daily stair step drop, which means a lower high every single day for the last 7 days in a row. That's baby step number one. If that breaks, daily bounce is underway, keeping in mind that anything under 107.5 is just a daily lower high. So whenever you're looking at a setup like this, I always like to break things down aggressive and conservative. What's an aggressive bull looking to do? What's a patient or conservative bull looking to do? What's an aggressive bear looking to do? What's a patient bear looking to do? And the current setup as we have it here, aggressive bulls are positioning for a daily bounce. And the only people that should be aggressive bulls are, number one, people with experience who play oversold bounces, and number two, people that haven't been trying long and stopping out. There are many times where I'll look at a setup and I'll say, okay, this is my one attempt because it's playing counter momentum and counter trend in the short term. Yes, a monthly high or low is the most likely scenario for Bitcoin, anything above 73,000, but clearly momentum is bearish over the last few weeks. So I'll give myself an attempt or two, and if I stop out break even, that's almost like a try again free card for me. But the last thing we want to be doing is, trying to long here and then stopping out and then trying to long here and stopping out. And that's, the analogy for me there is just we're banging our head against the wall counter trend. We don't want to be doing that. You can give yourself a try or two, but you got to keep your losses minimal when you're playing counter momentum like this. So the clues that stood out for a little bit of relative strength, and it's been glaring just because relative weakness has been so glaring over the past week. And so pulling up YouTube. YouTube chat's not working at the moment. Bear with me. There we go. All right. I'll read that chat in just a minute. So the relative weakness has been glaring where the bell rings, stocks start trading, and very quickly crypto weakness takes over and we drop to lower lows. Today, Bitcoin bottomed at 2 a.m. or bottomed at 11 p.m. Eastern, held at 2 a.m., bounce was underway, and then here is the stock market open. So let's zoom in a little bit. So we're well off the lows when stocks open, and if this is going to be the same pattern as it has been, we would head back to the lows and break them for new fresh lows, especially when you look at what the NASDAQ was doing. But it stood out within the first 5-10 minutes that crypto had strength. So here's the NASDAQ futures chart. Bell rings. straight drop. First 30 minutes of trading, full bear control. Bell rings, little spike up, hold support, new high of the day. That's a 15-minute chart. Let's get both 5-minute charts up. So back to the high of the day after 45 minutes of trading. After 45 minutes of trading, the NASDAQ is right here. So we're nowhere near the high of the day. If the NASDAQ was doing the same thing as Bitcoin was, we would be up here at that point in time. And we weren't. And it was just glaring. Crypto has relative strength. That's the first time that's happened in over a week. So how do you use that information? If you're day trading, it's very useful. If you're day trading and you see that relative strength, once you get confidence that the NASDAQ's putting in a bottom, then you can jump in something like Ethereum or Bitcoin and, grab a percent or two on the day. But we have to see this continue through the rest of the week. It needs to be a daily occurrence to have relative strength. Because if you look at Bitcoin divided by the NASDAQ, and again, we just hit the weakest, relatively speaking, the weakest that we have been the entire year. That happened earlier last night. But this is a downtrend. And so we need to keep this relative strength for a long time. We need to keep it for days. We need to change the trend. When's the last time we've seen a daily uptrend on the Bitcoin divided by NASDAQ chart? And the answer is we haven't really seen a clear daily uptrend since October, since we topped out back there. So there's a ton of work to be done, but this is something to keep an eye on. And I'm constantly, when I'm day trading, my eyes are glued to scouting relative strength and relative weakness. What's Tesla doing compared to the NASDAQ? I look at the individual name and then I look at the major ETF that it trades relative to. And so for this setup, it's what's Bitcoin doing compared to the NASDAQ. And so it stood out today, but again, one day doesn't mean much. Got to keep it going. The other thing that stood out today that was a bit different was the dominance chart dropping. We had the weekly stair-step bounce, high or low every single week for 2 months. That has shifted, but the dominance chart was dropping as Bitcoin was weak. Generally speaking, when Bitcoin is weak, dominance is going up because altcoins are generally weaker than Bitcoin, leading the way down. Bitcoin was weak, dominance was dropping. That tells us altcoins are holding up better than Bitcoin right now. And that doesn't happen very often. So potential, just a little clue, what do you do with that information? Well, rather than focusing on Bitcoin, so here's the pieces of the puzzle. This is how my day trading brain would work. Okay, Bitcoin's got relative strength to the NASDAQ, but altcoin's stronger than Bitcoin, dominance is dropping. If I'm going to play a crypto on a bounce with the NASDAQ, I'd rather have Ethereum than Bitcoin because dominance is dropping. So that's just a little putting the pieces together in terms of which name would be better to choose, if looking for a long day trade today. And I say day trade in all these examples just because, again, not enough has happened to have swing trade mindset. It could also be the kind of thing, what I often do is day trade something, exit partial position, lower my cost basis by taking a bit of profit, sticking a stop on the smaller position size under the low and saying that's the low or I'm wrong, and then trying for a day trade to turn into a swing trade. I do that often. But dominance is dropping, and while Bitcoin is bouncing, we know altcoins are having a bigger bounce. And we pull up our list and say, yeah, clear, 13%, CRV's 9%, bunch of 3, 4, 5, 6 percenters in there, while Bitcoin is up 1%. Okay, alt stronger than Bitcoin. Little bit of a shift. ETH. So here's a little bit of hopium. The hopium for me is, well, let's check the NASDAQ first. The NASDAQ and the S&P 500 did break daily support. And we can say this is the first clear daily downtrend that has been confirmed in the last 6 months of this bounce. So that to me means slow down as a bull, pump the brakes, maybe look for more bear trades, daily lower highs, scout some bear swing entries, but just things are shifting. I want to know when the market environment is shifting, because the number one mistake a newer trader will make is having success in a bull market and not recognizing the market is shifting and trading the same way as the market shifts, and the things that used to work don't work anymore because the market has shifted. So I'm a little bit more cautious. EMA 12 and 26 here. You can see on the NASDAQ daily chart, they just crossed bear, again, for the first time since this bounce got going. How about these signals? There's some choppy ones in there, but on the dump for the tariff, the Trump tariff dump, bear cross here, big follow through. Bull cross here, big follow through. Are we about to see big follow through to the downside? A lot needs to be proven, but this is where I have not had a ton of clarity. I just posted yesterday in the Chart Guys chat room. This is where I pump the brakes because I don't know. I have to look my ego in the face and say, I'm not sure what the most likely scenario is over the next 2 weeks. The NASDAQ is going to be significantly impacted by NVDA earnings tomorrow after hours. There is a possible setup for a bull falling wedge on the NASDAQ. So if these are going to be bear breaks with no follow through, then it would look like this breaking bull. Again, I don't have a ton of conviction in this pattern. I just need to be aware that it's a potential falling wedge shaping up. And if NVDA has a bullish earnings reaction, the NASDAQ's probably going to be up here testing resistance. So I'm aware that's a possibility. I'm aware things are shifting. We're about to lose weekly EMA 12 for the first time in 6 months. If the falling wedge breaks bull, we're going to hold weekly EMA 12. So the next couple of days, specifically NVIDIA's earnings, are going to be meaningful. But we can say that if the NASDAQ is a falling wedge, which the burden of proof is on the bulls, then Ethereum is likely a falling wedge. This is the daily chart for Ethereum. And again, why do I care about a daily falling wedge? We don't want to be constantly looking for bullish patterns when there's a downtrend like this. The reason I care about a daily falling wedge on a chart, generally speaking, is when it aligns with the longer term most likely scenario. And an Ethereum monthly high or low is absolutely the most likely scenario because it's anything above 1383. There's tons of space for it. I was looking for it back here. So again, this is what I was talking about. This was my attempt at a monthly bull flag high or low back when the NASDAQ was extremely strong, back before crypto had significantly weakened. And because I stopped out, right now, if I had made no attempts, I'd be attempting along on Ethereum looking for a daily falling wedge to try and shape up a monthly high or low. But it's almost like I'm in timeout. I already tried once and failed, was just a normal loss, just a standard little red trade, but I'm not going to try again until bulls prove something to me. And that's just because the broader market is giving me enough reason to pause and to pump the brakes. So I'm not going to aggressively go counter daily downtrend something when I'm unsure the bigger picture. I've been pretty confident as a bull the last 6 months on that broader market bounce. I'm a lot less confident now. So keeping an eye on that possibility. Still need to see 4-hour uptrends confirm. So I was watching yesterday, can Ethereum shape up a 4-hour inverse head and shoulders? And the answer was no, fresh lows. So now we're going to do it again. Can Ethereum shape up a 4-hour inverse head and shoulders? If we confirm the 4-hour uptrend, the daily bounce is underway. Anything under 36.58 will just be a daily lower high. We've got a little EMA 12 guide here. After we rejected a bunch, that's going to be in play. But again, just laying out the possible scenarios. And if the bulls are going to take over in the short term, it would be via a falling wedge, and the NASDAQ would likely need to be one as well. So that's the path forward for bulls. I don't have high conviction in it. I'm not confident enough to say that's the most likely scenario, but I can say that if the bulls are going to regain some ground into December, that's how it will happen. And ETH BTC has a key level approaching. And we talked in the last live stream about how this was a very clear and key rejection, keeping Ethereum weaker. And then this was a very clear and key rejection, keeping Ethereum weaker. And if ETH BTC can get over this zone, that will be another signal that things are shifting. So I can make a checklist. What do I need to see for probabilities to significantly increase that Ethereum's going to be, that ETH is going to be a daily falling wedge? Number one, NASDAQ's got to be a falling wedge. That probably means NVIDIA needs a bullish earnings reaction. Or if it's a bearish earnings reaction, bulls got to buy the dip during regular trading hours the next day, Thursday. Number 2, ETH-BTC needs to break this resistance level. Number 3, bulls need to confirm 4-hour uptrends. Bitcoin, where do we stand on the 4-hour? Same thing. Got to confirm a 4-hour uptrend. There's been no fake outs. We've just been in a clear 4-hour downtrend since 1075. So keep it simple. If we don't change the 4-hour trend, nothing changes. So that's has to happen into tomorrow. Just checking in on things now. NASDAQ is just straight sideways. 2 hours of straight sideways. Might get a little volatility here into the end of the day. NASDAQ generally doesn't get much tighter than that. And while that's happening, Bitcoin, little bit weaker. Don't roll over. If we roll over, that's the 4-hour lower high shaping up. All right, crypto stocks. MSTR daily bounce underway. Again, when I look at a chart like this, just with me personally not having interest longing MSTR, if someone asks me about it and I'm trying to give them unbiased analysis, I just say nothing changes if daily EMA12 is resistance. Get over that, then we've got space to shape up a daily trend change. So at this point, it's a nice oversold bounce, but anything under 250 is just a daily lower high. We can bounce 10% tomorrow and still set a daily lower high in the longer term downtrend. So again, it's the same concept. One day, great. Bull correlation, nice bullish action. One day is not enough. That's got to keep up for days if things are going to shift in a meaningful way. And other names like that, BMNR, daily inside bar. Again, get a bounce going, bounce 10%. That just may be a lower high. So bulls have a lot of proving to do. The burden of proof is on bulls. I'm not aggressively trying to position for it, but first tiny little sign. Got to keep it up the next couple of days. In terms of altcoins, ZEC, double top at all-time highs. A lot of people are going to call this a cup and handle. I mean, technically speaking, it could be, but generally speaking, you want that handle to be a bull flag, and a bull flag is 382 retracement or less. So just knowing how volatile ZEC has been, it definitely can break to a higher high from here, but I'm also watching for the possibility of an equilibrium, and I'll be viewing it perhaps on the 12-hour, just a bit more detail. Low, double top, higher low. Wouldn't be surprised if we tighten up a bit here. Keep an eye on ZEC BTC. No red flags on that chart yet. So burdens on bears on ZEC because it is still strong at this point. I'm not keeping my eye on many altcoins, even the leaders today. You know, CRV, solid bounce, but we held support. Okay, that's great. But if we don't break 55, it's just an equilibrium. Bulls need another leg up to try and create the space to have it be an equilibrium. I'd be watching it on the 2-day time frame, smooth it out a little bit. But the one positive for the bulls here is at least, we have a support that held. Most alts are coming off fresh lows, many month lows. So anything that has a support level, at least it's something. All right, I'm reading the chat room now. Likes appreciated. Riot and CLSK. So very disappointing here. Just falling off a cliff. I was interested in weekly higher lows. Riot was easier to lose interest. Why? That's a weekly bull flag. We fail resistance. As soon as we break support, big red flag for bulls. CLSK was a little bit more tricky just because it's just been a straight drop. Stair step up, stair step down on the weekly time frame and just gave it all back. And again, we're looking for short-term daily bounces. They're trying to shape up, but we just got to keep in mind CLSK can bounce 20% and reject from the daily EMA 12 and still stay in a downtrend. So aggressive bulls are scouting for short-term bounces. Riot volatility is going to pick up tomorrow, certainly. Look how tight it is. Second daily inside bar in a row. Double top high of yesterday, 14.24 to the penny. This double daily inside bar is going to break tomorrow. Why can I say that? Because it would be absurd to form a third inside bar within this range. It's extremely tight. And if they break bull, again, aggressive short-term bulls can benefit. Just be taking some profit, anticipating a daily lower high is going to be the most likely result of the bounce. You know, just my style of trading would be, let's say I'm in now and we break bull. I'm in at 14, we break bull. If I take half the position off at 15, stick a stop under the low, I have tiny risk. You know, if we keep going and confirm a daily uptrend and everything shifts, great. But I'm protecting against the downtrend where if we do just set a lower high and lower low, I hardly lose anything. So when I am playing counter daily trends, that's how I generally will look to position. Take a little bit off, lower the cost basis, stick a stop loss that keeps you nice and safe ideally. So these names are trying to bounce, but they're still very clearly in daily downtrends. Pretty much all of crypto stocks are in clear daily downtrends with a lot of space for daily lower highs to be the result of the next bounce. Bulls gotta prove it. Howdy, Duncan. So MARA has been showing us relative weakness for a very long time. A couple live streams ago, I was really dogging MARA. And the reason for that was because you compare it to, I was pulling up the charts, MARA divided by CLSK. It's just showing us how long it's been weaker. MARA divided by Riot. It's just been weaker for months and months and months and months. And so again, when I'm trading, if I'm looking long, I want to trade the strongest names long. And if I'm looking short, I want to trade the weakest names bearish. The only time I'm looking for laggards is when you're in euphoria. When you're in an environment like alt season, which we're not in, but when you're in an environment like that, people are just throwing their money at the wall. Whatever's moving, just throw your money at it. Everybody's loosey-goosey with profits, and that's when you look for laggards. You say, oh, this sector has been running hard. This name in this sector hasn't. I mean, semiconductors is the perfect example. NVIDIA has been leading this move. I'm having deja vu. I think I've gone over this before in a crypto stream. NVIDIA, from April, just monster move, and even zoomed out for years, monster move. But let's just say from April, monster move. AMD. No, I want MU. MU. So yeah, it had a nice move from April, but this is the rotation. This is September to now. This was a laggard play because obviously AI, semiconductor, that's a euphoric sector that's leading this entire 2-3 year bull market. 127% since September, and NVIDIA that led the way went 30% during that same period of time. That is a laggard rotation, and you can be confident in it because of the amount of euphoria and fervor and confidence and performance for the bulls in that sector. Just rotate. You got to have the profits to be rotating the profits around. And the crypto stocks, specifically the miners, and again, the miners need to be OG miners, CLSK, Riot, MARA, trying to change their business models a bit, IREN, and those names that did it earlier to jump on the AI narrative. It's like the new generation of the crypto miners that pivoted more efficiently is how I would view it, not knowing much fundamentally at all about them. But MARA has been a lead bear for a very long time. And it just stayed that way. And again, the most, the clearest way is the weekly chart. Here's CLSK testing early 2024 highs. And if MARA was going to be doing the same thing, we would have been up in the 30s. And we just weren't even close. So same deal. Daily bounce can happen, absolutely. We'll scout a daily lower high to be the result of that bounce. But it's just been a lead bear. And we just have to recognize that. Again, BMNR daily inside bar. If it breaks bull, great. But I would call anything under 43.77 a daily lower high. And if you're looking at BMNR, you know what? I'd be looking at ETHA divided by BMNR. Where's my money better off? Should I be in Ethereum or BMNR? And the answer has been Ethereum for the last month. That can change, but it's something to keep an eye on. Which one should I choose? So again, you can draw a falling wedge here. The bull hopium is the falling wedge. A couple different resistance anchor points. You can draw the bigger one, but if you want to be more zoomed in, this one's valid as well. So again, I would put these trend lines up just because they have plenty of touches. 1, 2, 3, pretty much 5 touches of support. 1, 2, 3 rejections. It's worth keeping an eye on. Even if you don't have high conviction that that's the way it's going to play out, it's a good visual guide. Do we have a 4-hour uptrend? No, that has to happen. We're at a key resistance zone right now. Let's draw our resistance trench. We've rejected from 143 to 145 5 times. We're heading up into that without a 4-hour uptrend. If we reject, bulls need to confirm a 4-hour inverse head and shoulders for this daily bounce to keep going. Pretty much all of crypto's got to confirm 4-hour uptrends. STCE. STC. I haven't looked at this one. ETF. Not a ton of volume. We're just looking at the average volume. 1,068,000. So yeah, it's under $10 million a day. I probably wouldn't trade it. I bet there's 5-minute gaps on the 5-minute time frame. Let's see. Boom. How did I know that? Because if there's that much volume, there's probably a lack of liquidity. It's not enough volume to be a nice liquid market. So 5-minute gaps are against my religion. I don't trade anything that has 5-minute gaps. It's just not liquid enough. So that's just a little asterisk. Bigger picture. So yeah, I mean, technically, it's still looking for a weekly higher low. It's doing what CLSK and Riot did. Stair step up, higher low every single week. Lower high every single week. It's still a weekly uptrend. Obviously, there's red flags with the size of the retracement. But aggressive bulls are looking for a weekly higher low. Here's a back test. Need to hold the back test of this zone as support, previous resistance. So far we are. But again, like those other individual names, we're looking for the daily bounce. There's a lot of space for a daily lower high. And, the bulls got to bounce for a few days. They got to form a higher low. They got to confirm the daily uptrend. So again, it's a long road laid out ahead for the bulls of what they have to do if they're going to regain some control. I've not been looking at anything from Argentina. Thanks, Nathan. 8 years following. That's how long I've been covering crypto. First crypto trade was 8 years and 6 months ago. 8.5 years. BCH. That's right. Thanks for the consistent reminder on this one, because it has been our... That's a nice equilibrium on the verge of breaking bull. Smooth it out, 2-day time frame. And we can even be looking at it like this. All that action. Get over 534. It's a double top at the moment. Nice little uptick in volume on Coinbase. Yeah, BCH, BTC doing exactly what bulls want to see. I think we talked about this last week, this little, probably a little equilibrium here as well. Or maybe 2 weeks ago. But it broke bull. I mean, this is, in terms of altcoins, there's not a ton of them that stand out on Team Bull, but I would put BCH in there. So now you just need to keep BCH, BTC daily uptrend going and follow through. You know, obviously we hope Bitcoin finds a bottom into a daily bounce and BCH, BTC keeps going up, which means BCH is just going up faster. You want to break that level, you want to turn that into support, and then you want to set your sights on trying to follow through over the 570s. But again, any altcoin that has supports stands out against so many that don't. Sui. So here's one that doesn't have support. So it's in free fall. And again, we just got to keep it real. I guess we can call this a support zone. So trying to hold this zone. But we're testing 13-month lows. And we also just have to keep it real that we are in downtrends on a ton of time frames. We've been in a weekly downtrend for a while. So what has to happen here? All right. Daily downtrend guide. Trying to shape up a bounce. Same, well, the 4 hours a bit of a different look. Anyways, we got to get a daily bounce going. You got to get over daily EMA 12. If you don't get over daily EMA 12, it's a bear flag. Keep it simple. Simple statement. Daily EMA 12 is resistance. It's a bear flag. Because bounce retracement. You got to bounce enough to create the space for a daily high or low. If you can't get over that, you don't have the space for a daily high or low. Get over it, then you have the space for the daily high or low attempt. But on a name like this, when's the last time we've had a daily uptrend with a higher low and higher high? This was a bit of a fake out. We did break resistance here, but by less than 1%. But we haven't had a clear daily uptrend in 6 weeks. So make the bulls prove it. We got to see a shift. So we can easily bounce 10, 15% and still be in a daily downtrend. We've got to see something that tells us things are shifting. Show us something that tells us this bounce is different than this bounce or different than this bounce. And at the moment, we obviously don't have that. And you also, again, you've got to see the BTC pairings reversing. Simple statement. If SUI BTC daily EMA 12 is resistance, this is not a good bull. Got to change it. LTC, BTC probably just showing, well, okay, that's better than I thought it was going to look. Keep those daily higher lows going if that's going to continue. So again, it has some support. That's something. It's a very choppy chart. I don't have clarity on a most likely scenario on this chart. It looks to me like a megaphone. Bear break, no follow through. Bull break, no follow through. Generally, when a chart lacks clarity for me, it's most often a megaphone. But It is a daily downtrend. It's very different than many other things, most other things. Lower high, lower low. Yeah, I mean, we're just chopping around within the capitulation candle. That one wild daily candle. Again, stronger than a bunch of other alts. Anything that has a BTC pairing in a daily uptrend is stronger than most alts. But just keeping it real, when I look at that LTC USD chart, I have no edge in terms of determining the most likely scenario in the short term. It's a very clear resistance zone on LTC BTC that the bulls need to get over. BMNR earnings Friday. Thanks for that. Do I use fear and greed index for my trading? No. I don't like those indicators at all for anything useful. I can gauge being a leader of a chat room. That's my fear and greed index. People's emotions are palpable when you're interacting with them on a daily basis. So that's where I gauge retail sentiment. Twitter to a certain degree, but on Twitter these days you're going to find just as many bulls as bears in many setups. But I mean, we also don't need like do we need that indicator to tell us we're in extreme fear in crypto? No, we know it, right? We know it by the charts. We know it by the RSI levels. We know it by what the alts have been doing for the last 6 months. All right, one more. I'm going to wrap it up. Hype. Again, sales coming with Black Friday. Yeah, hype, just a nice equilibrium, tightening up. The levels that I care about. Clear resistance zone. You can go 2 days, smooth it out a little. Yeah, I like the 2 day. Good call, whoever called it an equilibrium. Boom, 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 boom. Bulls must hold 36. And anything under 43.33 is just a lower high. This break is probably coming within the next 6 trading days. We're getting real tight. So I would expect volatility to pick up a bit. But again, another one where, I mean, really, the equilibrium can go all the way back here. Another one where there's supports. I mean, real crypto altcoins right now are just who's got some recent supports nearby that are still holding and who doesn't. That's the distinguishing factor. And so I know without looking that Hype BTC has been going up over the last couple weeks. Why does that look so gross? That's better. Confirm that weekly uptrend. It's tightening up as well. You want to break that level. All right. Appreciate you watching. I already looked at Sol. Happy to share my thoughts. Don't forget to do good things. NASDAQ, is it a falling wedge? NVIDIA earnings reaction tomorrow after hours is going to have an impact on that. Ethereum trying for the falling wedge. Can altcoins keep relative strength to Bitcoin going for more than just 1 day? Can bulls confirm 4-hour uptrends? I mean, that's where we're at. We haven't even done that. Check 1. Confirm a 4-hour uptrend into tomorrow for daily bounces to be underway. Let's take it from there. And bears are going to be waiting for daily lower highs. So you got to think about, all right, we're not done. You got to think about the mindset of traders, right? So bears are starting to get a little cocky just because it's been easy for bears the last few weeks. So what you need to see happen is when the bears go for the daily lower high reload, you run them over. Because a bear's not going to fear anything. A Bitcoin bounce from 90, what did we just bought him? 89? A Bitcoin bounce from 89 to 97 isn't going to scare a bear at all with what's been going on. You got to do something to make all the bears that just keep reloading the lower highs wrong. You got to make them wrong. And you either do it by running them over with a big bounce, or you give them their lower high and then you stop them out with the daily trend change. So always try and put yourself in the mindset of both directions. How would I view this chart as a bull? How would I view this chart as a bear? If I'm a bear, do I have anything to worry about? Let's just look at this. If this support, previous support, remains resistance on a bounce, bears don't have anything to worry about. Just like ETH. Let's use ETH as the example. So back here, this was the support that I was playing off of and stopped out of. Uh-oh, big bounce. Do bears have anything to worry about? Nope, we rejected. So we use those previous zones. And upper 90s, zoomed out, bigger picture, swing trading bears still aren't worried if we bounce 6% from here. Got to make the bears worried that things are shifting. Got to put some pressure on them. Thanks again.